Mango Habanero Mead, one-year tasting. This is a capsicumel. And we stepped up a notch by adding mango. Trying to be energetic here, people. No, I have not been drinking yet, but it's coming. As soon as Brian pours me some drink.
Okay, so like she said, this is our Mango Habanero, and it is 1 year old, and it has 11.5% alcohol. And yes, we really did store this on a shelf at room temperature with a screw cap. And you know what? It smells like Mango Habanero.
I kept it in the dark, and it was fine.
Yeah, you don't want direct sunlight is the real big thing. Now, we did do a tasting on this way back when where we oaked some of this. I don't think this got oaked. Not all of it, just a section of it got oaked, right?
I don't remember.
I'm being really careful because there is, unfortunately, some wispy stuff in the bottom.
We have noticed that with our capsaicins, primarily our capsicumels. So there has to be something that's in the chilies that has a different protein profile that with aging recoagulates or whatever.
I believe it has something to do with pasteurization too, which I'm working on that. We do have a new system that should eliminate that.
Okay, color. It is beautiful.
Yeah, it's got a gorgeous color. It's like perfect, like golden. It's perfectly clear. I mean, it's a 10 out of 10 for clarity and color.
Absolutely.
No problem. Wow, the aroma. It's kind of like caramelized honey. I get like a caramely smell.
I'm getting the pepper, the chili sensation, if that makes a sense.
In the scent.
I have become ridiculously sensitive to capsaicin when it's airborne. So
they hit the pan, she starts coughing and sneezing and sputtering, and
it's not cool.
This has a lovely aroma. I really like this.
Yeah, it smells complex.
See, now I'm getting a little bit of the chili kind of thing. See, habanero can be a little citrusy sometimes, and I think that's working really well. So it's kind of like a mango citrus scent right away. Anyway, I'm tasting it. Oh, wow. It's a little more spicy than I remember, but it's not harsh. I do remember this was one of the drier ones that we did. We left it dry on purpose so that I could drink more of it.
It doesn't come across as dry.
Well, it's dry, okay, but it's not like that unpleasant dry. It actually has rounded quite a bit. It's smoothed out quite a bit. In the very beginning, I wish we sweetened it because which makes me think maybe we didn't actually pasteurize this, or we didn't sweeten it very much.
Yeah.
We may have sweetened it just a little bit. The heat of the capsaicin and the chilies was a little bit much in the beginning. It was like almost a harsh acidic type of note that overpowered the mango and took over everything, in my opinion. And now I feel like after a year, it's come around. It's much better. The fruitiness is coming through. You know what? Let me take another sip.
Now, if you're interested, we have just released a mango wine that we made. And I have been pairing that with coconut rum because I'm obsessed with rum right now. And one of our viewers mentioned the very same concept in the comments, and I'm like, I may have been doing that because I have totally been doing that. And so drinking this, the first thing that comes to my head was, oh, I wonder what coconut rum would taste like with this.
Feel free to add some. Okay, let me take in a little trip. As it enters your mouth, I get hit with a little bit of a sweetness and like a fruity sweetness mixed with just a touch of honey. It's not a strong honey flavor, but there's a little bit. As it goes in a little bit more, now some of the astringency, the green vegetal notes from the habanero come through, which they don't normally have those, but I do get a little bit of it. It's not unpleasant, but I can detect it. Then I'm getting the heat from the chili at that point, but then the fruitiness starts to come back a little bit, and there's just a touch of sweetness. On the finish, it's a little more chili than I might like. It's a little more heat than I really would want for this.
I am getting on this a sensation that I've gotten before in some of our beverages that Brian always just kind of looks at me like, nah, that's not there. But I'm getting this effervescence sensation. Now, obviously, it's very, very still.
No, I get it on this one.
But it's like a little tingling on the tongue, and it's not from the spice.
There's no actual carbonation.
It's just, it feels effervescent. I don't know. I like it.
By the way, if the stuff at the bottom of the bottle really bothers you, you can always just rebottle, rack it to a new bottle and let it sit and that kind of thing, and you're fine. I just tend to pour really, really carefully. We'll lose, this much at the bottom of the bottle.
The design of wine bottles is actually made to collect any sediment that may fall out of suspension.
If you pour really careful, don't let it glug.
Just pour really carefully and the bottle design will do the job for you.
And it tends to hold it really nicely. But the effervescence, I kind of get it this time.
Okay.
I do get a little bit, there's a tingling sensation. It's not overly strong, it's just very mild, but yeah, it's definitely there. I did notice it right away, and I wasn't sure if that's what I was experiencing, and then when you said it, I was like, okay,
I feel redeemed somehow, I don't know.
This is an unusual thing, because that little bit of an effervescent, combined with the heat from the habanero, with the little bit of sweetness from the mango and the honey, makes this really unique.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste the way I would have expected mango habanero to taste. Like, I've had mango habanero stuff before, and it always had a strong, fruity, like a sweet, hot flavor. This isn't as sweet. I think had we sweetened this more, it might be that. But it's interesting all on its own, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It just makes it a little bit of a unique beverage. It's more of an experienced beverage than, say, a mainstream drinker.
It reminds me more of like a hard soda.
Yeah, it kind of does. Kind of does. But the dryness of it, though, it makes this a little bit more aggressive than a typical soda would be.
Yeah, but it's a lot more playful, a lot more light than most of our capsicumels have.
Yeah, it's not as, well, because we went dry rather than sweet. And I know I keep saying that, but that is the truth of this. This is not a sweet beverage, okay? A lot of people lately have been saying, oh, I want everything to be sweet. Okay, I challenge you to do this. If you say, I can only drink sweet wines and sweet meats, try this. Cut sugar from your diet and then do this. Trust me. We eat so much sugar in our food, and I don't mean to get on a platform about this, but we eat so much sugar in our food that you're used to that level of sugar, so you want it in your meads and everything too. Well, we all know too much sugar probably isn't such a good thing for us, right? So try cutting back the sugar in your meads, in your food, and see what happens. Some people absolutely will say, nope, can't not do it, it will not work for me. And you know what? I was one of those people. I used to put like a quarter cup of sugar into my coffee. I mean, I just did. That's what I did. And now I don't. And it's amazing how much sweeter things taste. Had I tried this 2 years ago, I probably would have said, nope, can't drink it, not my thing, no way. Now I'm tasting the sweetness in it, and I think it makes your taste buds a little more sensitive. So.
Now, I did propose the idea, the concept that because we are in the United States and our foods across the board tend to have a lot of sugar added to them, in my opinion, unnecessarily, so that might elevate.
We have some data
our
on that
area.
too. I just have to go through it all.
I haven't tabulated it, but I am noticing a trend.
Europeans tend to like dry. Yep. Americans tend to like sweet. Although there's quite a few Americans that like to dry too. So that's kind of shocking.
Sure, but
yeah, I'm noticing people that said like their age, younger generation tends to like it sweeter. Though there was a couple that liked it dry. So I mean, there's a range all around, obviously, but it seems like younger Americans like sweet, and that makes sense because they grew up eating most of the sweeter food. I mean, we're like the breakover generation where a lot of processed food was available from when we were kids. But it seems like the Europeans and most other countries of the world like things dry. Seems that way. Until we tabulate, we won't actually know for sure.
The data is still young. All right, so let's think about numbers, shall we?
I'm thinking about a lot of numbers.
Okay, then.
I just have to put one on this, though. All right, while we're calculating our numbers, our numbering system goes from 1 through 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, unless it's an 11, in which case it's just an 11. 1 means it's horrible, okay? You'd probably just dump it. It's not something you'd want to drink or share or be proud of in any way. 10 means I would probably reach for that over just about anything else, unless there was an 11 nearby, then I'd reach for that first, then the 10 would come next. I only say this because we gave 11s on 2 different brews, so, trying not to do that too much unless it really is an 11, but it just gets the idea across. Varying levels in between mean, would I drink it, would I choose it? Usually anything above, say, a 4 or a 5 is probably something I would reach for and drink. So, you know, if you see a 6, that doesn't mean we didn't like it. It just means that it wasn't the best thing ever, but it doesn't mean it wasn't any good. All right, I need more. Somebody said they can tell how good the score is going to be by how many times I go back for more. I would like to argue that.
Well, it's either you like it and you just want to keep on drinking it, or you're unsure and need to keep drinking it to come to a better conclusion.
Or it's the 4th or 5th tasting we did that day and I just don't care anymore. Which is not the case today.
That's not the case.
No, we're on our first one. Anyway.
This one is a pickle for me.
It's a pickle?
It's a pickle. It's a pickle. Why is it pickle? I like pickles. I really like pickles.
No, it does not smell like
and
vinegar.
So, because I like pickles, I want to like this more, which is why I call it a pickle. But I don't, if I'm just honest with myself about, okay, imagine going forth into the world in searching for a beverage. Would it be this?
If I was served this in a restaurant, I'd probably be a little disappointed. I think that's what you're getting.
Unless I was eating Mexican food.
With Mexican food, I think this would be nice.
Like, we had tacos for lunch. This would have been lovely with our tacos.
I'm seeing this a little bit differently than that. I'm seeing it as, like, I have spoken on this before. When I go to reach for an adult beverage, 9 times out of 10, I will reach for a whiskey if we have it, okay? Because of the flavor burst that happens from whiskey, and I tend to like bourbon. Bourbon has a very strong, aggressive flavor. Now, some will argue that it's not aggressive. It's aggressive compared to a mead or a wine or a cider or a beer, okay? And that's what I mean. Lots of flavor in a very small package. This fits that bill as well. This is not a liquor. This is just a mead. It's 11 point something percent. But the flavor level on this is much higher. It's much more concentrated, making it more of something that I can pour a little bit into a glass and enjoy it longer than, say, a regular mead that you're taking larger sips and it just doesn't seem to last as long for the same volume. So that puts this a little higher to me, though compared to other meads, it's middling to me. I know, I'm really clear on how I'm doing this, right?
I have a number. I'm questioning whether the number is fair or not, but that's what I'm feeling right now.
Hey, you know what? It's your number. Own up to it and be good with it. If anybody judges you, I'll tell them in the comments. Yeah, because that'll work. Anyway.
1, 2, 3,
7.
6.
Not far off.
Yeah.
I figured you were going 5.
Oh, no. It's definitely more than a 5. And my first impression was actually higher than it is now. The more I'm drinking it, the more I'm like, okay.
The astringency of that capsaicin and chili is coming through a little stronger than I really would like. But in some respects, I'm respecting that about it, and that's why I went 7 instead of 6. I was thinking 6 too at first. I was 6, and I went up. So we had opposite reactions there. Because I started thinking like, you know, I could pour this in my little liquor glass and this could work, not as a whiskey replacement, but could sort of be a similar concept to it. Whereas mead, I know, is more like a wine, so I'm gonna, you know, just drink it differently. If I drank this like a whiskey, I think I would appreciate it more than if I drank it like a mead.
I think I'm slightly different from you on that aspect because I do appreciate what I term experience beverages for the experience of it, but it has to be like beyond. It has to be like, you are having an experience type experience, where this is like,
This is kind of like, you're having an experience.
An experience. I'm like, okay,
I had a bad experience. No, not a bad experience. It's a pretty good experience.
Experience. It's just not doing it for me.
It's not spectacular. It's not knock it out of the park great.
But
Uh-oh.
I have to do something now.
Oh, I know what she's going to do.
Just because. I'd say
If you can pour it carefully, I'll have some more.
I'd say for science, but I don't think this is really science.
It's always science.
Tell me when to stop.
Right there.
Right.
Wow, we drank half the bottle doing a tasting.
Yes, so that
We hate it.
should indicate.
It's vile.
Yeah. All right.
She broke out the good stuff now, folks, you know?
Malibu.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever actually had Malibu coconut rum.
I've drank this entire bottle.
Yeah, I don't drink it.
Okay, yeah, so maybe that was
That was a strong pour.
a significant ratio, but hey.
Yep. We'll get you a snack when we're done.
Do I need a stirrer? I need a stirrer. Why do we not actually have stirrers? Like the hoity little
You got 10 of them.
stirrers. When I was a kid, my parents had these cute little
Plastic stirrers.
the little plastic ones.
I guess we will have to get some stirrers.
And they were so cute. I remember them being cute, and I remember really thinking that they were cute as a kid. I never drank alcohol as a kid, but I remember the stirrers. But I can't right now.
I think every kid played with stirrers. I used to use the swords that came with the fruit on my action figures. They worked perfectly.
Yes, I would have sword fights with my brother because Mom would always let us get.
They were rapiers, by the way.
They would get Shirley Temples.
Oh, okay.
And so they would stab the cherry with the sword for us. And memories.
I just remember I always wanted to get coffee when I was a kid because my parents always got coffee, and I wasn't allowed. So instead, I got black tea and my sister got hot chocolate. And one day my mom went, you know, the whole point was we're not giving them caffeine, and there's probably more caffeine in what we were drinking than what my parents were drinking for coffee. All right, so how is it? I'm gonna have to taste it.
It's like spicy Malibu rum. It's pretty friggin' awesome.
Wow, that is really good. Oh my God, that is really good.
Sorry.
Wow.
It's spicy Malibu rum.
I mean, Malibu rum is 21% alcohol. So right off the bat, it tells me it's a liqueur. It's not really rum. There's a lot of sugar in there. There's a lot of extra flavorings in there. But mixed with this, it really works nicely. It's a lovely cocktail. So make our Mango Habanero, wait 1 year, then add cheap ass Malibu coconut rum to it and enjoy. It is actually really good. I have to give credit where credit is due. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching and have a great day.
Bye-bye.